It is time for yet another Thursday Thoughts. The Sixers are in the playoffs, the Phillies are losing close games, and there's a lot of blue around us. What's going on, Kevin? How are you?
I'm great. First, I got to apologize to the people. I know we're starting 2 or 3 minutes late, and as Zach said, it's because I was talking too much behind the scenes before we got started. But that's what the next 45 and 50 minutes are going to be. I know there's a lot of good conversation to be had here. We were just warming up a little bit behind the scenes, so let's.
And for the record, Kevin always talks too much behind the scenes, so just know it's normal. I just like calling him out.
If you want me to tone it down while we're on air, you got to let me get it out sometime.
Yeah, sometimes. Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thursday Thoughts. This is actually our mid-season finale. We are taking June off, and we'll be back with a new lineup in July. And we couldn't end it with a better guest. I'm super excited to introduce her. But Kevin, how are you doing today?
Well, it's allergy season. As you kicked it off, Sixers are in first place, and can't wait for the playoffs to start on Sunday. I'm so excited to see what they do in the playoffs, and I'm excited about today's topic. This probably should have been one of the first episodes we did this season, and not the mid-season finale, because I know that this is a topic that every business struggles with, every business owner struggles with.
You know what? That's such a good point. However, you can't start a season with the guests we have, because then it messes up all the guests after it. So
that's just too much pressure on everyone else.
Yeah, it's a little off. You got to make sure you end it with a bang. And to that, and I'm super excited to introduce my good friend, the amazing Sheldon Bartlett-Rumer. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Sheldon right quick. She is a CEO and executive producer of This Is It Network. Sheldon uses magnetic personality, unmatched energy, and industry expertise to promote the accomplishments and ambition of her international guests. This Is It Network is a global digital streaming platform that connects remarkable women to inspiring stories while empowering our engaged global community of female entrepreneurs, executives, and leaders. Through captivating video content and timely lifestyle blogs, This Is It Network offers educational entertainment that benefits its audience both personally and professionally. Sheldon herself is an immigrant from Sierra Leone, West Africa, a mother of two, an adjunct professor, a former Division I athlete, and a female personal branding expert. She works to inspire female entrepreneurs to no longer whisper their wishes, but to, in fact, scream their dreams. Sheldon is currently an adjunct professor at both Temple University, go Owls, and Drexel University, I don't even know what their mascot is, in Philadelphia, where she instructs undergraduate students in the art of personal branding, interactive media, online advertising, and social media strategy. That is Miss Sheldon Rumer, and she is with us here today. Hello, Sheldon.
Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm doing good. You like how I took a dig at the?
I did see that. I did see that. I'm gonna let that one go. They're good people. They're good to me.
Fair.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Indeed.
Before we go too far, let's not pretend, Zach, that you didn't know that the Drexel is the Drexel Dragons.
The
Dragons?
You know it's the Dragons.
You knew that. It's okay. We'll let it slide.
Which is a much more powerful than a little owl.
A little owl. Owls are wise, though.
I'm not getting involved at all. Zero.
No, you can't. You're on both sides there. You can't get involved. It wouldn't be right.
We'll talk offline of which one you is your favorite. We'll do that offline.
For sure. And again, I'm a LaSalle graduate, so a little bit of an explorer. Ooh. So we got the dragon, the owls, and the explorer. It's very confusing.
That's awesome. All Philly schools are great. I love them all, so I can't really hate. But really excited to have this chat with you, Sheldon. As many folks either may or may not know, we go way back. We're both in that content space. I've actually been on your show. You've been on my show. Super excited to have you here and introduce you to Kevin, because I've been working with Navitas since the beginning of 2018, and branding and social media and content creation, like that's been my passion. And me and Kevin love talking about it and engaging with it. So it's great to have another expert to educate people with.
Thank you. And it's wonderful to be here. I love the art of personal branding. I think it changes everything. I think that that's the space that we all need to be in, since it's such a cloudy and crowded landscape, this digital world that we're in. And so how do you stand out, and how do you create stories in order to do so? So
yeah, for sure.
And I think so many business owners struggle with, where does the personal brand end and the business brand begin, or vice versa. Yeah. You know, I think there's so many instances where they're too far one way or the other. Yeah, they're either promoting themselves too hard and forgetting that they're actually representing a business, or the other way around, that it's got to be just business, and kind of forget that sometimes people want to work with you specifically because they like you, and the business just kind of comes with it. So this is such a great topic. I'm so excited to get into this with you.
Yep. And for all the folks who are watching on LinkedIn, on Facebook, even if you're watching us on YouTube, share the link. Let's get more people in the conversation, and note that you can throw any questions in the chat, and we'll ask Sheldon about those towards the end of the show. But for now, let's get right into it.
Get into it.
We're just going to talk in general about personal branding, Sheldon. I think that's a good place to start. And I put just simple questions here, but I know we're going to talk a lot about them. But 100%. Give people your definition of personal branding.
Yes. Personal branding, by my definition, is what people say and think about you in your absence. That is my definition of personal branding, is the conversations that people have about you when you are not in the room. The majority of the large decisions, the impactful decisions that really change our lives, happen when we are not present. And so whether we get the job, whether we're promoted, whether we get the client, all those decisions are happening when we don't have the opportunity to negotiate or defend what it is that they know about us. And so it's so important now more than ever that the personal brand in which we want, whatever that is out there and it's front facing, and that people can find it in order to justify what it is that we want. So those decisions are real and in our favor. So that's my definition.
I love that response. And, you know, I've never said it that eloquently. You know, I use social media for my, you know, branding, you know, to a high extent. And sort of the mindset that I take towards it is, you know, it's like my living resume. Like, this is, 100%. You know, what you can use to see what I've done and see who I am and all that kind of stuff. But it really is exactly what you said. To say it better, you know, it's your
just fine.
I try. But so what? So give me an example, kind of in relation to you, as Sheldon, your personal brand. What is it? Like, what do people either say about you, or what do you put out there so they know what to say about you when you're not around?
Absolutely. I don't know if you can feel it through your devices, or if you had to turn down the volume on your devices the minute that I started talking. But oftentimes, and Zach knows this for sure, when we were in the live space, when we were at live events, you could often hear me before you saw me. You knew I was in the space. You know, I hear her. Sheldon's here. I haven't seen her, but I hear her voice, right? And so my personal brand is associated with enthusiasm. It is associated with a transfer of energy. I tend to do that. That is my superpower, right? I can walk into a room and be able to transfer my energy to those around me so they can feel confident in using their voice. And so the minute I realized that that was my gift, or that that was a strength in which I was stepping into, I made sure that that was reiterated in everything that I did. I made sure that I created and utilized tools to ensure that my energy was visible, right? I think that for a lot of individuals, they don't understand the power of visibility. And so for a lot of people, they get nervous because they think that visibility means frequency. That means that they have to post often and a lot, but that's not what it is. It means being found, right? Like, if you want to be able to sell something, if you want people to have conversations about you in your absence, your personal brand has to live somewhere. And so for me, it's really ensuring that if someone needs me, that they can find me, by name and by brand. And so if they Google, I'm also very lucky that Sheldon is a very unique name. But if spelled correctly, you can find me, and what they find about me is consistent with what it is that I want. And that is really, really important. So I just make sure that I bring my energy and this big tooth smile to everything else that I do, and that becomes part of the signature, not only look, but brand that I have.
Got you. And one other question, and I guess maybe slightly getting away from advice for other folks, I'm actually curious, because what you described also almost to me describes your business.
Yeah.
So how did your business, This Is It TV network, kind of come out of you and your personal brand? Because I feel like your brand and the platform are kind of one.
Yeah. This Is It network stemmed from the need and really the concern from my clients, truly. The story came back. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but in the traditional sense, in 2009, I started IG Creative, and that was graphic design, web design, social media events, and publicity, right? So it was a full service agency, and I was working with a number of different small businesses. And what I found was, and primarily women, and what I found was that the cupcake lady would come in and she could not find the words to tell me why somebody should buy her cupcake versus someone else's. I would ask her point blank, okay, what makes them special? Nothing. How long have you been in business? 10 years, 5 years. I was like, this can't be the case. Right. And she was very concerned that other people had buttercream vanilla cupcakes, and she couldn't find the uniqueness within her own brand, and she couldn't find it, and therefore she couldn't share it. And I found that to be tragic, especially for somebody who's so extroverted and has so much energy. And I determined at that point that I would have her practice. Before I put her on Fox Good Day, before I put her on the Today Show, we were going to practice. And I pulled out a camera from my desk, and This Is It came from that, just us doing fake interviews and getting them comfortable with finding their voice. And it came from, the need for those that are introverted, those that have amazing stories to share, finding the voice in order to do so. And so that's what I do. I tell stories all day. I meet new people all day long, and I give them a platform for them to what I call scream their dream.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now to dig a little deeper, give a little meaning towards why someone has to do personal branding,
for sure,
and maybe how to get started in actually branding themselves.
For sure. I think, first of all, I believe, a little selfishly, that it's a necessity. I believe that, people don't buy products or services. They don't. They buy personalities and experiences. They just do. There's a reason why you use the toothpaste that you use based on the fact that your mother used that toothpaste. It's associated with your home. It's associated with how you live your life. And we forget that, especially as entrepreneurs. We forget the power of a campaign, right? We think that campaigns are only for Starbucks and Target, when in fact we should be running campaigns as well. And we should have clear stories and clear value propositions in order to make it make sense. Because again, that encourages people to talk about us when we're not in the room. We tend to overcomplicate things, and therefore not only are we misunderstood, but also it's not shareable, right? So if you tend to be very complex in who you are, or ambiguous in who you are, or, as it relates to your brand, no one can wrap their minds around it, not only to just understand it, but to share it on your behalf. Are you making your brand easy for somebody to talk about you when you are not around? Or are they like, I'm not really sure what Zach does, or I'm not really sure what Kevin does, right? We want to make sure that people are clear on what you are up to so they can have those conversations. And that's where the money is. That's where the magic is. That's where the community is, when people have the ability to tell your story on your behalf. And so that's why I think it's the most important thing.
I love it. 100% requirement. And I fully agree with you. Now, let's say it's a requirement to me. I'm not familiar with social media. I'm an introvert. I am. This is completely foreign to me. How do I start to brand myself?
Yeah, it's baby steps. I think for me, I call it your unique equation. So you must start with that. It is, what the way in which your brand is broken down. And so for me, that's who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it. Those are the three things you need to know. And that affords you the ability to have a foundation to build off of, right? So once you have your unique equation, that's the foundation. And then now it's time for you to decorate your house, right? And so who you are is a few life facts, things that make you who you are. In my intro, you mentioned a number of things that make me who it is that I am. So I'm an immigrant. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm an adjunct professor, Division I athlete, a number of different things that make me who I am, mother, wife, all these things. Those are things that people can't take from me. These aren't opinions, right? These are facts. I incorporate them into my story because now I can relate to other immigrants. I can relate to other Division I athletes. I can relate to other mothers, and I can have them be part of my community. The next piece is to identify your strengths, right? I align with having energy and sharing that energy and being a positive person. I step into that fully. So understanding what your strengths are and understanding who you are. Then figure out what you want your brand to do. What do you want? Do you want to be able to build communities, sell more products? Be honest with ourselves. I think a lot of small business owners are like, I'm just doing this thing. We got to be intentional about what it is that we want so we can see if our brand is working for us. And lastly, which tends to be the most difficult, is we really need to be able to share why we deserve what it is that we want. And really, personal branding is the re-education of your community as to your value. Right? Whether it is a reiteration of that life fact. I'm an adjunct professor. I teach personal branding. I share stories. So please come on my show. Or it again is I have won all these accolades. I can't tell you the amount of people who have weak personal brands because they don't want to brag boldly about the accomplishments that they've made. I've talked to people that are, well, I kind of do this thing. Well, how long have you been doing? Well, 20 years. You kind of do this thing for 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm like, you really do this thing. You have to own it. Oh, well, how long? Well, I have a PhD. You have a PhD and you can't part your lips to tell me why somebody should hire you? We've got to step into our accomplishments and see that as just telling and not selling. And that for me is really the core. So if you were to say, okay, I have this unique equation, Sheldon, now what do I do with it? It has to live somewhere.
Right.
It has to live somewhere. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be an oversharer like myself. If you follow me, you know I love to just talk online. But all it has to do is if I say, Kevin, I have an amazing person that you need to meet. You have to ensure that those who provide you with references and referrals are not liars. Because Kevin's going to look that person up. He's going to Google that person based on what it is that I said, based on the necessity in which I have placed in his mindset. And when he looks you up, it better be consistent with what Sheldon had said. It better be a proper reflection of your personal brand. And I think that once you do that, it begins from there.
Right. And you reaching out trying to help me, you're not selling your business right now. You're just strengthening a relationship, which is going to make me want to pay more attention to you and what you're doing. 100%. And I love what you're saying about the figuring out that equation. Yeah. And it sounds complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It
doesn't.
It's just who do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? Yeah. And when we're talking about business branding, it's the same thing. It's figuring out what do you want the equation for your business to be. And we're talking mostly about social media right now, but we always push with social media. Don't oversell. Social media is meant to be social. Yes. You can throw a few things up. This is what we do. Some case studies, some testimonials, but you want to keep it fun. You want to keep it conversational. You want it to be engaging. And if you've already figured it out for your business, then it's time to apply it for your personal brand. And if you're going with your personal brand first, now that you figured it out for you, it's time to apply that for your business. But everything you're saying, this is what we preach every day. It's just different, slightly different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. And one of the, I guess for those novices out there, I call it my 3-to-1 rule. So educate, engage, and entertain, and then you can feel free to ask for something. Right? So it's you do your 3 E's and then an A. That's basically keeps you moving in that space. I think people, a lot of real estate agents that I work with have this hard time. Like everything's an open house. Everything is by the house, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not necessarily making themselves an authority in the industry, right? They're not talking about mortgages. They're not talking about what the market looks like. They're not talking about interior design. They're not talking about neighborhoods. All of that makes them an authority and strengthens their personal brand. So when they do, in fact, have an open house, It's no problem. I trust you. I know you. I like you. And I'm going to be able to tap into you, not because you want something, but because you've already filled my cup with something that's entertaining, engaging, or educational.
It's funny you used real estate as an example, because I guess it was about a month ago. I think it was 2 episodes ago of Thursday Thoughts. We had Chris Nelson with us, who is a real estate agent, and he is all about his personal brand and making sure that social media. I mean, he goes to different businesses and loves video. His big thing is video, but taking videos of all the businesses and what's going on in an area, which helps show his knowledge, not just of the house you may want to buy, but of the area as a whole. And he's so big with his personal brand. He talks about his love of beer and his love of sports and the other things he does. When he goes out, he wears his backwards hat. He wears short sleeves that shows off his tattoos. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But that's part of his personal brand. He wants to be out there. He wants to show his knowledge. He wants to show his personal side. And that's what his brand is. And he makes sure that it is more than just, here's my directory of houses, which one's for you.
Right. Especially in an industry that is so personal, right? So if you're purchasing a house, that individual knows everything. They know all that's in the drawers. They know all of your financial scenarios. So you want to feel comfortable with that person. You want to feel as if you can trust that person and that person is aligned with you. You're getting those texts at 11 o'clock at night. You're meeting them on a Saturday morning. You want to make sure that they're part of your corporate culture, as a family or an individual. And personal branding does that, and allows for you to recognize that you are not, to your point, everything to everyone. And there's some freedom in that.
Right.
As far as personal branding is concerned, and the lack of pressure in knowing that your voice is only fluent to those that need you and see you of value. So really lean into those folks and tell those stories in that way.
100%. 100%. Folks, there's a lot of gems on the floor around me because Sheldon's been dropping them nonstop. Actually, look, LinkedIn. I love the 3 E's. People are listening to you and appreciating it, Sheldon. So just another quick reminder before we jump into the next topic. Share the show. If you have questions for Sheldon, put them in the chat. If you have great comments, you're just enjoying the chat, give that to us as well. We do appreciate it. Well, let's move on a little bit here to something that Kevin hinted to was on our end, we end up talking a lot about this for social media and how people can kind of use that to reflect their personal brand. So let's jump into some social media talk. I love when you told me it was more than just posting, because it's so much it is, but we have a couple different bullet points down here. We can go in any order, but we have what are your goals, what is your audience, and what do they respond to best? So let's talk about how you would help someone kind of build a social media strategy, keeping in mind that they're trying to, grow their career.
Yeah. And so, whether it's you looking for employment or whether it's you looking to build your business, social media is a tool. It is a tool that you use. And I know, and I just got into a kind of heated debate with individuals who came to me and they were like, literally said, I'm a YouTuber. I'm like, I said, you must be based in the foundation of your industry. YouTube is a tool that you use in order to share who it is that you are. It is not who it is you are. Right. And so I think that a lot of people are getting lost in the platforms and not really focusing on being in the industry, right? So you are a musician that uses TikTok. You are not a TikTok musician, right? And so it's really about figuring that out. And that's a hard differentiating factor. But once you do that, you build community outright. So identifying what your goals are. You want to be a musician, not just a TikTok musician, not a musician that just lives on YouTube. You want to fill stadiums. You want to have people download your music on all platforms. So let's start thinking outside of the platforms and start thinking about the platforms as tools, right? Because nobody says, I'm an emailer, right? Like, I'm an emailer. I use email all the time. I'm so good at email. Nobody said, I got 5,000 people on email. Nobody says that. Email is a tool that I use to build my business. It isn't who it is that I am. And so once you do that, you identify the goals and you say, okay, I want to build a community on TikTok. I want to build a community and a following on YouTube, but I want to do so as an authority within my industry. I want to be a chef that uses YouTube to build my community. And once you do that, you can sell whatever, pots, pans, cookbooks, it doesn't matter. And it's not contingent on the platform. It's contingent on your content. And so that is really, really important. And then you can utilize it. So the next piece of that is identifying what your goals are. So I'm going to build this community in order to fill in the blank, sell more books, get more appearances, drive more traffic, build my business, sell more of a particular product or service. You must identify that, because us as service providers, we have those conversations when we meet with clients, right? What are their goals? What are their objectives? But very rarely do we do that for ourselves, right? Very rarely do we set our own expectation as to what we want at the end of these campaigns. Because again, a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs just throw everything out into the world and they don't assign campaigns. So what I mean by that is creating your own value menu, right? We've all gone to fast food joints. We all see the importance of value menus, right? I'll have a number 3 large with Coke, right? In that space. It doesn't mean you can't buy those French fries independently. It just means that this value menu has made it easy for me to order quickly, right? And for them to tell me what it is that I want and how it is that I want it. As entrepreneurs, we should be doing that. What is the ideal value proposition for what it is that we're selling? And how do we take that to market? That doesn't mean that we don't sell other things. It just means that this is what I want my community to focus on. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to determine what it is that you want. Make sure that you understand that you are the vessel and the industry professional. And then these are just simply tools in which you use in order to share your story. And then ideally create a value proposition that is limited, controlled, shareable, right? So let's bring it down. What are you selling? What is the most priority for you at this particular, it's a course, it's, video services, whatever it is. And let's drive that home. The majority of the brands that we know and love them for a specific thing. And then based on that adoption, we buy everything from them. Right? Mm-hmm. We have that favorite pair of sneakers and now we have a sweatsuit, right? We went there for the chai latte and now I got a croissant, right? All of those things are the lead the horse to water type of scenarios. And so that's where I would have you begin, identifying what your goals are and then identifying the value that you want to share directly with your consumers to get early adoption. That would be my goal for you, for all of you.
I love all of that. I love that you use the word community. I've usually said audience.
Yeah.
And I actually like community better. I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
One thing I think people sometimes struggle with is knowing who to target as their audience or community.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just assume this is my product and I think this person needs it. How would you recommend someone to best identify who that community is, or is it more like a natural put it out there and your community comes?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the both. I think less is always more. I'm a daydreamer, so I love the idea of creating fictional personas and creating 3 of them. Like when you close your eyes and somebody is purchasing your service or wearing your shirt or eating your cupcake, what do they look like? Where do they live? Stereotypically, where are they in the realm? And then what platforms, what tools best serve those people, right? And just because you like a particular platform doesn't mean that that's where your persona lives. And so being really specific and really being able, again, going back to that campaign, testing it, right? I don't think everybody needs to be on everything. And I think that means that there's so much more for you to manage and so much more for you not to be able to measure. If you say, I'm going to do a campaign on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I'm going to be able to market these 3 types of individuals, you can, at the end of a quarter, like any other large scale corporation, measure the success of your impact as opposed to just be winging it from month to month. And so limit it, less is more. Really utilizing a community, and again I use that word continuously, because the community will do the work for you. When people know, like, and trust you, they will share you, right? We spent so much time, and this is a learning lesson of mine. When we even met, I was thirsty. I needed more likes and more followers and more people. And I just need more. I just need more. And what this quarantine, I call it BQ, before quarantine, versus AQ, after quarantine. So BQ, I just wanted more. I wanted more followers. And I thought that there was more value in that, right? I wanted to build my community based on names and likes. And what I did in quarantine is that I honed into the people that already liked, followed, and fanned me.
Right.
I asked Lisa what she needed, and Linda how I could help her, and Ashley how I could support her, and then they did the work for me. Right?
I've been such a supporter of providing value to others before I knew that was a thing. Like, I speak to it more now because I've read some books and listened to some audiobooks, and like, I'm like, wow, this has actually been around and been a thing for a while. My first career outside of college, I was at the Nets, and I remember distinctly my first position was inside sales, and the goal was 100 calls a day and an hour and a half talk time.
Yep.
And not intentionally, I was trash at that. Like, I would average 40, maybe 45 calls, and I would get spoken to by my manager, but my talk time was like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't think they even knew at the time, but what that meant was I was actually engaging with folks, building relationships with my community, and providing them value, even if that value was to vent about our terrible team, which was the value more often than not. That value turned into them wanting to purchase with me and them telling their other friends about me. Right. So I'm the one who has half as many calls as everybody else, but I've sold twice as much. Absolutely. And I didn't even think of it in turn. I just thought, oh, well, I just like talking to people. When really I was establishing a community, I was providing them value, and the result was the business.
Yeah. I mean, that's creating and community and storytelling and value. I mean, there's nothing more important than being seen and being heard, right? There's nothing more important than that. And we went into this World Wide Web is in a volume mentality, right? The Instagram star that was in her hunter boots with her Starbucks coffee in a pumpkin patch with 1 million followers. We all know who she is, right? We all know who that woman was. And we thought that was the ideal benchmark for brands. That was the ideal benchmark for engagement. And what we found was there was no quality for the quantity. Right. And so now in a landscape where there's a new social platform every minute, there's so many different resources, we must lean into the quality of things. We don't need 1 million followers to make $1 million. You just don't. And so there's a new way of thinking and really leaning into your value proposition and about conversations versus just likes and following.
100%. 100%. You said a really great word, the word engagement, which is vital to everything we do. So let's close out with a little bit of this, the community engagement element. Yes. Why is it important not just to have the community, but to engage with your community? And let's talk about some good ways to do engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. So engagement is everything. In this way, again, your followers want to be seen and heard, whether it's simply saying happy birthday to the individuals that are in your feed, like recognizing their life facts and life celebrations is a huge way, an easy way to be able to make an impact in what it is that's going on. The conversations are so important. The comments, using your manners. Right? If somebody walked into your house, would you not say hello? You would say hello. You would be engaged within the scenario. If someone says something to you, you looked beautiful, would you not say thank you? I think that oftentimes we lose our manners because it's in the social platform, right? In that way. And I think really honing in to participating with those who participate with us is so super important. And the other piece in the engagement, so just FYI, what I meant by that is comment and respond to those that comment and respond to you, right? So that's a fundamental. Another thing is don't always be on the receiving end of things. Right? So you don't need to be the one that's always looking for people to comment on your content meaning photos, videos, blogs, etc. You need to participate. And one of the things that I tell my clients, my students, is that as much of the time that you allocate to creating and sharing content, you should allocate to just participating in conversations online. So there are certain brands that you love and certain people that you follow. Make sure that you are part of their conversations. Make sure that you are commenting on their posts. Make sure that you are sharing content that you did not create to justify your place in the industry. Mm-hmm. I say this a lot for introverts, individuals that are like, I don't know what to post. Like, I have nothing to say, right? Kind of scenario. You can be in your industry without you being the author of the post. So if you're interested in sports, make sure that you're sharing ESPN, Sports Illustrated, participate in those conversations, especially platforms like LinkedIn. You will come up in conjunction with those brands that you know, like, and trust. So it doesn't always have to be you creating the content, but you must participate in the landscape. And the best way to do that is to allocate time. So I give myself a little appointment with me and my coffee. And I just start getting involved in conversations each morning. And I find that it awakes and opens up my social platforms, and I see more of things in which I enjoy and like. And so that's one of the key ways that I think, simplistic ways that you can become more engaged and really increase your engagement on your platforms.
100%. And it is very simple to actually do that element. It can be time consuming.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But that's the thing of that social media gives you a relatively free platform to grow your brand, your business. You have to put the time in to make it work for you. And one of the first things, we do when we are doing a social media campaign for a client is we talk about engagement.
Yeah.
Because that can either be something that we teach you how to do and you can do yourself, which will benefit you, or it's something that we can do, but there's time that goes into it. There's a cost associated. And a lot of people think I'm going to hire someone for social media management and they're just going to create graphics and post it on my page and it's good. We can do that, but that's not the most effective way to grow.
It's not. And I think that, yes, and I say this to anybody that I work with, you did not wake up and get into this business to be on social media all day, right? So, and the majority of small business owners struggle with that space. Like, you didn't open a bakery in order to be on Instagram. You opened a bakery in order to bake, right? And so it's really important that you adhere to a discipline and wake up. That's, again, for somebody who's very, very busy. I'm a creator, but I know what I need to do in order to keep my platforms engaged and support my personal brand. So I allocate, like any other meeting, the half hour for me and my coffee to just be engaging every morning. I rip it off like a Band-Aid first thing, and then I get to the rest of my day. So there's ways that it doesn't have to consume you, and it can work for you. And I do a lot of my posting in the morning, so the internet can work its magic throughout the day, and then I re-engage in the evening. So not to be consumed by it. I'm not interested in being an Instagram star. I'm interested in sharing quality content and using Instagram to do so.
100%. That's awesome. This, like, you actually explain things so eloquently. I'm sitting here like, what can I, like, she explained it all.
Right.
I want you to all be, one of the things that I'd like to share is the intention, right? I think that it's overwhelming. And I want to let your viewers know that this is not easy. It is overwhelming. That it takes time. Yes, I have all the enthusiasm of, a marching band, but I know that it is a difficult scenario. And one of the things that I want everybody to think about is that even the most skilled, talented, we were talking about sports before we hit record or before we went live, even the most talented athletes have to practice, right? Serena Williams is going to practice 6 days a week. I mean, she's a star. And she has to go to practice. So finding your voice also requires you to use your voice, right? And to practice what you're saying and to see what you can utilize out in the space and what works and what doesn't work, and give yourself permission to test things out. There is no, fast track or magic sauce to be able to get all of this together. You have a very unique equation. You have a unique audience. You have a unique voice. So give yourself the opportunity to practice using it, and then practice where you put it, where you place it, and how often, to see what works for you. So I don't want anybody to think that, okay, it's going to happen overnight and everything's going to change. But when you do use your voice, you will find that others will be willing to share it as well.
Awesome. I'll throw one question out there, which is, I guess, on the opposite side.
Yeah.
What should you not post if you are looking to do good personal branding? Because I've seen some folks give me too much, and in a couple different ways. But I'd like your opinion. What would you advise someone not to do?
I think that we should all grow up. And I think we should be able to understand the importance of consequence. I don't care what you post, truthfully, as long as you are prepared for it to reflect what it is that you want. So I say this to my students, I don't care what you want to be and what you want to put out into the world. Just know that it should be consistent with whatever it is that you want. So if you want to drop it like it's hot on a Tuesday and you want to have the social media platforms of Cardi B, you might not necessarily work at Lockheed Martin. It's okay to be Cardi B. And there's a lot of money in being Cardi B. I think she's amazing. But you need to be consistent and create a brand for what it is that you want. So if you're telling me that you want to work for Lockheed Martin, then we must create a brand that is appeasing and consistent with what Lockheed Martin is looking for. If you're telling me that you want to be the next hip hop star, then you have a lot more freedom with what it is that you share. The problem is that people are putting things out into the world that's not consistent with what it is that they want, and they're disappointed in the reaction in which they are receiving. We are adults. We need to be held responsible for our voices. You don't go into the middle of the mall and parade around naked. The social media space is outside, right? So that is your mall. So how would you behave? And that's when I said with the manners in the same way, is that we need to regain some semblance of consequence to the voice in which we have and where and how we use it. So I don't limit anyone in what it is that they're saying. You can say whatever, but just know that there is consequence to whatever it is you're saying. That's it. So if you're okay with everyone knowing too much and understanding that that voice may dilute or condense your audience, then continue to move in that direction. But know that that is the consequence of you oversharing what it is that you're sharing.
And I think some people need to be mindful of the fact that there is a difference between what you say and how you say it.
Right.
I know that there have been plenty of people in the business world that I am connected with through my personal social media who I have loved for many years, have a lot of respect for them. I know that they're experts in their space, and I've been excited to connect with them on a personal level on social. And then I see certain things that they say, and you are absolutely allowed to have a different opinion than mine.
Absolutely.
But then there are certain things, the way that they word it is really, really a turnoff.
Right.
And again, it's, I don't want to stifle anyone.
No, of course,
you believe what you believe. But, but just as you said, I mean, how do you want me to take it?
Yeah.
And there are people that have truly turned me off because 100%. Of the way that they say certain things.
Right. I mean, these are challenging times, right? And for whatever reason, social media has given people a bold tongue, right? Things that they would never say in public, things they would never say to someone's face, opinions that should be kept to themselves. They feel emboldened to share them with the world. And again, there is consequence, and I see it. I understand it. I recognize, and I can't unsee it. And there's changes that have been made to social circles and business circles. Just knowing what you know, it is not. Again, you can believe what you want. You can say what you want. I'm not here to tell anybody that they can't say what they want. Just understand what the ramifications of what it is that you say, and be okay with it. Right? If you want to say what you want and share what you want, that's wonderful. But please do not be disappointed when that does alter those that follow, fan, and like you.
Yeah.
Right. And I to kind of piggyback on that, like you said, it's been an interesting year, and I have become like, it's almost like my thumb to press here has have arthritis, because like there's probably 1,000 things I see on a weekly basis that I want to share to my Instagram stories or on my Facebook page. And I usually don't, not because I don't agree with what's being said, but I'm cognizant of the fact of everyone in my circle isn't the same. And some people are going to take some things some way, and some people are going to take some things another way. And I'd rather be neutral. And that neutrality has caused issues. I've had friends who are on one side and say, you know what, do you not even know this is going on? And I'm like, no, I'm very aware. It's actually a common conversation in my household, but I don't put it on my social.
For sure.
But even those conversations make me feel, some sort of way. Cause I'm just like, I don't want someone to take my lack of talking as my personal brand. So how do you balance that, that element?
I'm right with you, Zach. There are so many instances I'm scared to give my opinion, and I feel awful that I haven't given my opinion. It's not fair. It's not fair, but it's what our society has created. Sheldon,
No.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, guys. I mean, listen, we walk, especially as business owners, a number of different lanes and lines in that space. I tend to be, speaking for myself, in the era of being appropriate, right? In cocktail space. I don't want people to assume that my lack of comment means my lack of interest, my lack of opinion. The quote that I've been living off of for the past 3 years or maybe a little longer is just because I carry it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy, right? And just because I'm navigating this space doesn't mean that it isn't heavy. I think that there are spaces and appropriate spaces and work that all of us are doing that isn't front facing in these social media platforms. Again, these are tools. These are not obligations. These are not, declarations of who it is that I am as a person. What I do is that I do jump in and I do speak to things in which I am knowledgeable. I do not speak to things in which I do not have all the information, and I do not speak to things in which voices belong to others on my behalf. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. I really have garnered my position. Those who follow Fan and like me know the importance of equality, know the importance of inclusion, and I do that through what it is that I am doing every day. I don't claim to be an activist, but I am active, and that's what speaks in my space. And so it's not eluding, it's including. Mm-hmm. So 100%. If I include what it is, if I'm for diversity and inclusion, then you see on my pages diversity and inclusion. I don't necessarily have to be of a specific campaign in order for that to happen. Mm-hmm. You can look at any of my social media platforms and be like, okay, she's all things, right? But if your platform isn't reflective of the utopia of your life, then that's where questions come into play. That's where the community that knows, likes, and trusts you is like, what is the position? What position does Kevin and Zach have in this arena? There's no question, at least that's my hope, by looking at the diversity within any of my feeds, that you can understand the position that I have. And I think that, all the other thing as well, as far as the sharing is concerned, I'm very hesitant to share other people's content that I haven't vetted, right? Because those clicks to nowhere can get us all in a lot of trouble, right? Mm-hmm. And so without reading the full article, it's really about putting that position out there. I think Patrice might have a question or a comment.
Yeah, she had a comment kind of related to that. She said that she does end up sharing those articles that are based in fact anyway, despite what others may not like.
Yeah, for sure. And again, that is the position in which I celebrate. Like, my platforms are about celebration. So there are topics that are about, in this world, as we know, that are about confrontation. So what I do is I combat that with celebratory content. So I celebrate remarkable women that have done things. We have this women in history space. I saturate the market with the celebration of diversity and inclusion and let the combative natures live on other media outlets. That's how that's how I lean in.
Thank you. We need more people like you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. This is so fun.
I mean,
it's a shame. I've always taken the approach on social media that I got to stay neutral. I want everyone to follow me. I want everyone to love me. Yeah. And I guess it was about 2 years ago, before there was a controversial election recently. You may have heard about that. Yeah. And everyone's got an opinion. I am very proud to put out there, I am a registered independent. Yep. I've got opinions on both sides, and I think everybody is they're privy to their opinions. That's okay. Yeah, for sure. There was somebody who I was following on Facebook, who I thought I had a decent relationship with, who was continually posting total BS posts that were completely fake. And I think twice I commented with a Snopes link that told her this isn't true.
Yeah.
She unfollowed me.
Yeah. Okay.
Or, she deleted me. So that told it she would rather put out BS stories that are proven to not be true and create that controversy and create that hate than stay connected with me on Facebook. Yeah. And I just said, you know what, if that's, I think it's ridiculous, but if that's how you feel, then you're probably not someone I want to stay connected with anyway.
Right. I mean, I guess that is the maturity that's the thought process. Not everyone, right? Not everyone is going to get me. Not everyone is going to be in favor of me. Not everyone's going to understand me or my positioning. I think that once that was me maturing as an entrepreneur, maturing as a person, and just saying, it's okay. It's all right. We're going to disagree. This world is so beautiful because we get to disagree. But that doesn't mean that I have to have everyone in the framework of what it is that I'm doing. I'm willing and would love everyone, as many as possible, but I also am protecting my own peace and what it is that I'm in favor of as well. And I stand in that, and I share that, and I celebrate that every day. And not everyone's going to be in favor of that. And that, unfortunately, has to be okay.
Right. But there is a big difference between putting something that I may not agree with and intentionally trying to create hate, which is what this person was clearly trying to do. She knew it was wrong. She put it up there anyway. She was creating hate.
But as we build, but I mean, think about it, guys. And unfortunately, this is true. As you build your personal brand, there will be more of that, right? As you know, those large personal brands and those large celebrities, let's say, that are in the limelight, I believe, I don't know which hip hop artist, but it's like more money, more problems, right? And so the larger your community gets, the more access people think that they have to you. Right. And the more opinions they have about things that they, again, would never say to you if they saw you. They're emboldened to do so. They're emboldened. My gut tells me that individual would never say that in the middle of a city hall. They would never say what they were saying. They were feeling emboldened to do so. And there's only 24 hours in the day. I tried to get 26 and it didn't work out. And so I cannot spend my waking hours worried about somebody who isn't, fill my cup with something that is of a negative space. There's just so many amazing things in this world for that to be the case.
Wow. This has been amazing. I can't thank you enough, Sheldon, for joining us. I think folks watching now know why we saved you to the end of the first half of our year. Super excited to take this time off. We got some more comments coming in. Let's see.
Hi, guys. Hello, everyone.
Something from Joanna.
Thank
you. I gotta read this one. Hold on. That's my man Orlando. What's up, brother? Great discussion here. When sharing on social media, is there a formula that you should follow in terms of daily activity?
I love it.
My name is Orlando Orrego.
Yes, my friend.
I don't think I ever knew your last name, Orlando. It used to be my neighbor when I lived in Brooklyn.
Hi, Orlando.
We go way back. But yeah, no, that's a good question. Is there a formula to daily activity that you want to put up?
Not daily, but I leave in the 3-to-1 rule. Make sure you're giving people value, whether you're entertaining, engaging, or educating them, and then ask them for something. Mm-hmm. Give yourself a rhythm. You don't want to be the friend that always asks for the ride or always asks to borrow money, right? You don't want to constantly be asking for something. You want to make sure that you're providing value as it relates to that. So it doesn't matter how often you post throughout the day. Just make sure that within, I would say, 5 to 10 days, I would love to see some activity. When people are looking for people, they want to be, like, if you're looking for a restaurant and they haven't posted since 2016, what do you think? That the restaurant is closed, right? They might have the most amazing food, but we think it's closed. So let's stay open, Orlando, and make sure that we have a free in what it is.
I think to piggyback off that, I think, there are people out there that really do need that structure and do need that formula. And if you are someone like that, that formula is part of your personal brand. Yeah. So it's not something that Sheldon can answer or anyone else can answer. You got to figure out what that formula is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And super interesting that you mentioned that one, Sheldon, because Orlando is in the food business. He does have amazing spices he's created from scratch. So I'll have to plug you in on LinkedIn. He has some good stuff for sure. And I love the questions are actually coming in. We got a couple more.
Yeah.
Patrice, do you believe that folks have more than one passion can be more successful with honing in on one? Ooh. And that's a great question, because I have some examples. But
it is a great question. My darling, I am a lot of things. And so there's always going to be your friend from home that doesn't get it. Oh, she's too much. Patrice is too much. Oh my God, I don't really understand what you're doing. We're not for Emily. We're not talking about Emily right now. We're talking about, because we're always going to have that friend that thinks you're too much. But I want you to organize yourself. I'm the queen of analogies if you have not figured it out in this short period of time. So think of yourself as Target, right? We spend too much money in Target, but we never get lost, right? Because everything at Target is in an aisle, right? So if you are a photographer and you also copyright and you also do graphic design, you can do all of those things, but you must put those respective things in an aisle. You must make it easy for people to navigate through and understand what it is that you are offering. Again, small business owners, entrepreneurs, sole proprietors, we often just throw everything out and expect people to understand it, right? We've been to a messy store. Target is not a messy store. Everything is in an aisle. You know exactly what it is. And Target sells everything from lawnmowers to baby food, right? But it just needs to be in the respective space. So for me, I just want you to organize yourself. And when I say that, think about your website, right? In that way. So if people were to go to the navigation, make sure that all of your competencies are mapped out singularly in that navigation. So if I go and I met you for one thing, right? Just like Target, I met you because you are a copywriter. I might leave the store with things I do not need and hire you as a photographer, right? Because things are organized in that way. So just, you can be all things, my darling. Look at Ryan Seacrest. Look at, all of the things, all the things. Look at Beyonce. Look, she sings and has a clothing line and a deal with this and movies and all. You can be all things. You just need to create the aisles so people know exactly what it is that you want.
We could end up doing this for another half an hour. So I'm going to close this show because we're coming up on time. You are my favorite. I love you, Sheldon. You are amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to take a little break. Folks, we are going to be back in July. So make sure you're following Navitas Marketing. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Of course, we always offer a free consultation to anyone that wants to chat with us about anything business related. And of course, make sure you're following Sheldon. Sheldon, can you give some details on the best place for folks to go to follow you?
Yes, you can follow, fan, and like me everywhere you find at This Is It TV or at Sheldon Barlatt. You can log on to thisisItTV.com for more information on corporate business or watch our new segments at thisisit.tv.
Definitely watch. When I tell you Sheldon has a live video every day, I am not kidding you, because I do believe in engagement and helping. I like it. I'm not able to watch every episode, but I make sure when I see it, I like it. Try to put a comment. Can't stay for the whole time, but I gotta drop something. But no, this has been fantastic. I'm super glad to have you. Kevin, it's going to be the last time I see your face on this screen in a little while. So enjoy your month off from Thursday Thoughts. I'm sure we'll be talking on Zoom a lot. This has been great.
You'll see me on this screen. It just won't be with the Thursday Thoughts template around us.
Fair. Listen, everyone who watched, again, please feel free to continue to share and get other people to check. Because again, there's gems. There's gems, and I mean, a couple mic drops were in there. I mean, stuff was dropping left and right. So share it with folks. Get people to know about this amazing woman, Sheldon Barlatt Rumor, and how she can help you with your brand. And we'll see you guys in July.
Bye.
Peace.
Yep.